Hey, what's going on, guys? It's DGamer and I'm back here again with our final episode of Batman Arkham Asylum. Last time we left off, we actually completed the main story, beating the Titan-infused Ivy, going up against Joker's goons, and then beating Titan Joker in a battle to near death, and leaving the island to pursue another criminal, Two-Face, and getting our post-credit scene, the one that I wanted, which was revealing that Scarecrow is still alive. And now, this is our epilogue before we go into the sequel. As you can see, we are at 82%. I wanted to show you guys one full playthrough of a combat map and one full playthrough of a Predator map, and showcase some of the challenges. I wanted to read the character bios to you guys. I wanted to show you guys all the character trophies, and we are going to finish off our Riddler trophies and the Amadeus Arkham plates, and I will intersplice us getting the Platinum trophy for Arkham Asylum, which, if you are unaware in terminology, if y'all remember us talking about achievements for Xbox and trophies for PlayStation, where you unlock them for doing certain things, the Platinum trophy is just the trophy for doing everything. So let's jump in. Challenge mode. As you can see, we have Batman Armored, which we unlocked for beating the campaign. It's just a cosmetic. And the Joker, which for the longest time was only PlayStation 3 exclusive, and then became available on the Return to Arkham remaster for every platform. So let's start with Batman Armored and show you guys a Rumble in the Jungle. This is a combat map taking place in the Botanical Gardens, where we fought Joker's Titan henchmen. The goal of the combat maps is just getting the best score that you possibly can. So get high combos and don't get hit. If you'll remember, we played the main story in hard mode, so we didn't have counter icons when we were about to get hit, but we do now, and they're fun. I personally like the extra challenge of having to pay better attention, but they also look nice to see. I kind of wish that you could equip the armored skin in the game, but don't worry, you guys. Going forward, just like with Spider-Man, from now on in the sequels, we can actually change our cosmetics in-game to the extra suits. We're actually doing quite well here. Just don't get too cocky, basically, is the thing. And we did get hit. I was trying to show you guys that you can counter those, but I don't actually know in this game if you can or not. The only trophies we have left for the Platinum are finishing Riddler's collectibles in the game, discovering the true identity of Amadeus Arkham, and getting enough medals for each combat map and Predator map, and then we will have done everything there is to do, and it will start to show us 100% on the profile, which you could see in the opening was 82. We actually didn't do it in hard mode because it gets somewhat difficult to take the Titans down without using a battering, but there actually is a trophy that's very fun and extremely cool to pull off called Mano a Mano. That is just take a Titan down using only hand-to-hand combat. And It might not seem like it at first glance, but you can do that. You can just keep punching them over and over until you take them down.
So you want big deal? I've got much bigger plans for you.
There we go. Took a few replays, but there's our 3 medals. In the other games, they do turn into medals. In this game, they're bats, and I find that pretty cool, actually. And I am going to showcase Record Breaker, and unlike the combat maps like this where you get medals for perfect combos and no hits and higher scores, on Predator maps you have specific challenges such as fall guy over the ledge and round the bend, and doing said challenges are what gets you the medals.
My crew is searching Arkham Asylum for you, Batman. I won't stop till you're dead. Or they are.
Here are our Predator challenges: a ledge takedown, a corner takedown, and the bat claw takedown. So let me silently showcase this to you guys.
Worry about it. Batman is on the way, but there's an army of you.
And that's all challenges done. Now we are going to showcase a Joker playthrough very quickly because he does have different mechanics than Batman does.
Did any of you hear the one about the escaped patient hunting down the guards and killing them one by one? No? Stick around.
Paging Dr. Joker is our challenge, and so there are quite a few differences in between Joker and Batman. One obviously being that he doesn't have a cape, so he cannot glide. We also cannot grapple up like Batman can. Joker's gadgets are also different, like his detective vision being these X-ray specs that are a dedicated gadget instead of something you can just turn on. Another being that the stealth takedowns are actually implying that we kill the guards, obviously, since we are Joker instead of Batman trying to save them. Here are our teeth, and which in the main game they are just collectibles. Here they can do that and kill the guards. We also have a gun that just one-shots the guards entirely. It's only one shot, at least in the stealth challenge, but it is quite powerful since it can just kill them outright. Like so. I think we're gonna kill you, and to prove why he killed so many throughout the game, and why he was able to rule the asylum. Oh, we almost got spotted. The Arkham guards aren't much better at this than the normal Joker inmates. So.
You'll never catch me, Cash. I'm out of here, Cash. Do your worst.
Here we go. This is maximum punishment. I believe that you can actually fight Aaron Cash during these combat maps, but I might be wrong. There we go, and you can see the combat takedowns and the animations in combat in general for Joker are, let's just say, much more out there than Batman's. Batman is very tactical, obviously being trained in every martial arts possible and even creating his own fighting style, mixing all of the martial arts together. And Joker is just quite literally slapstick. He moves around like a ragdoll.
I'm warning you, I fight dirty.
It's true, we do. Who's Smiling Now bonus instead of the Dark Knight bonus. One shot. Nope, you're not gonna stop us. You can actually throw them just like you can with Batman, which is quite surprising to me, actually. Whoa, that's cool. We never get to see Joker throughout this entire series use his electric buzzer in his hand, so it's cool that you can witness that in the combat.
You'll never take me alive! Don't let him hit
All of you insolent guards and, whoa, Commissioner Gordon, even that's cool, are no match for the clown prince of crime. This is gonna sound dark, but I really love that since we're playing as Joker, you can just murder the guards with a gun. Because it obviously adds to the atmosphere that Joker has his own gadget set, but I really like that it's much more violent than Bruce's. Die. And here's Joker's ground takedown. It's just the same as Bruce's.
Time for a little vacation, Arkham.
Now to cut to our trophies.
What? Oh, yeah. Did I tell you I was going to kill you? Oh, that's... I was just...
As you can see now, all of Ivy's plants and Joker's thugs and everyone is gone because we are just collecting our last trophies. So it's honestly pretty cool to have the island empty completely except for us, but it's also kind of neat. As you can see, Ivy's plants are out of the way. In the most part, you can still see where they had affected things here and there. And thanks to a fantastic YouTuber by the name of Warping Fist, who does videos on cut content in games and similar subjects, I was learning about cut content from Arkham Asylum, and it's actually quite interesting, the things that were cut from the game. I haven't finished the video, so I might not be able to mention everything that was cut, but some things such as the lighthouse that you guys keep seeing while we're out roaming the island, the iconic Arkham Island lighthouse in this universe that you can see in all 3 games, and I think even Arkham Origins. It was supposed to be its own area. You were supposed to be able to walk on a pier that would lead you to it, and it was supposed to serve some sort of purpose in the story. What that purpose is sort of unknown, but it had an interior where you grapple up to the top and work your way down because the stairs were destroyed. There was supposed to be an entire separate island off of Arkham itself, sort of in this area, that in test footage, just early builds and stuff of the game where you can see early models of the island. You can actually see it in game. It was a chapel that was supposed to be its own chapel building that had its own interior, that had its own extensive chunk of story and gameplay that took place there, and it was also supposed to have an inmate graveyard, and it got cut for some reason. And you were supposed to have these tiers of stairs that went down further and further until you could reach the lower shores, which, if I were to speculate, we're probably to serve some kind of extra encounter with Killer Croc, or some kind of Easter egg to hint towards the post-credits scene about Scarecrow and Bane and Killer Croc that we get, but that might be wrong on my part. If you'll remember our mid-game encounter with Harley, where we had the gas in the room after we saved the guards, you'll remember that we had this wall that we couldn't reach, but now we can, and we can do this because of it. And it is quite satisfying as someone who's a completionist, or who tries to be, being able to revisit said areas in a Metroidvania style game after having the upgrades that you need to do things such as this, and grab this trophy and free up the room of gas in just a second when something is right in front of you but still hidden from view. And we need to free up the gas in this room now. We can free up the gas by doing this, and look at our battery go. Good job, little dude. Thank you for helping us out. Let's jump down here now. Hey, thanks. And now we are free to get the secrets in this room that we couldn't before due to A, not having time with the guards, and B, not being able to because we didn't have the proper gadgets to free the gas. Here is one of Amadeus' plates.
Yet again, I found myself watching him. No one can provide a cure. He laughs in the face of those who try. Amadeus would not have let him live. And neither should I. One last sip of cognac, and I was ready.
Here is Prometheus. I don't know if this is comic art or concept art for him that ended up leading to him being cut before he was implemented into the game, but either way, it's cool. I find it quite cool how you just get almost the entirety of the island to yourself, but right at the very end with Joker's fireworks going off and Ivy's plants around, but not all the way, almost as if it's one massive celebration saying, hey, thanks for playing, now the island is yours to just explore and appreciate the atmosphere, or finish up the challenges if you want. Here's our next plate.
He watched as I entered the cell. He smiled as I showed him the knife. I told him how I will use it, how I will cleanse this city. And then, terror. I was paralyzed. I struggled. I screamed, but I was silent. The monster looked at me, expressionless. He ran my blade slowly across my forehead. A smile cracked across his horrible porcelain face, and I heard the filth fall from his mouth. He laughed and called me that horrible name.
And here we go back in intensive treatment. Hey, Bolsey. It's been a long time since we were able to go through this door, but now we can. And we need to be able to do this and get the trophy in this area, which will quite nicely lead us out into Arkham Mansion and the Botanical Gardens, our final areas for Riddler's collectibles. That radio is still playing. Here we go with our first trophy in the area of the Arkham Mansion that we accidentally missed our first time through. Here's our next piece. Instant pull, because why not? It's our next tape.
Patient interview 9. Dr. Crane continues to evade questions. I believe he is quite sane, just evil. He takes no interest in the people he has hurt. His research appears to be the only motivating factor in his life. What is it about fear that drives your obsession?
Fear drives everything, Stephen. Everything. Your life, every decision you make is a product of that fear.
Don't be ridiculous.
You married your wife. Margaret is
because you were scared of dying alone. You have children because you're scared of leaving nothing behind that really matters. You go to the doctors because you're scared of dying. Do I need to go on?
No. I think that will be all for today. Guards?
It's always so interesting seeing Scarecrow play upon people's fears, but I will also say what some others have said who are fans of him in saying that fear and causing people fear should not be his only goal. He should leave a lasting impact, such as a great example being in, I believe the storyline is called Batman the Kings of Fear, where Scarecrow ends up leaving a lasting impact on Batman after fear gassing him and having a conversation with him and leaving a lasting psychological impact that, if I remember the story correctly, it's that Bruce's actions either don't really matter or that he is the one causing the chaos in Gotham, and it starts to really mess with him. But anyway, let's continue on.
Today I have another interview with Craig. I cannot say I am looking forward to it. I've been feeling anxious. I don't like to admit it, but I think he's getting to me.
How are you today?
I keep telling you, this is my session.
It was your session, Doctor, but not anymore.
Are you okay, Doc? I think. Yes,
Oh, he's fine. Just questioning his grip on reality. You should be doing the same any second.
Huh? Thank you? Wait, what are you doing? Help! I need help here! I can't breathe!
Like I said, you're all part of my experiment now.
It's interesting seeing how the villains turn the tides in their interviews that are supposed to be something that helps them and helps them evaluate their psyche, and instead turns into their game of manipulation and mischief. Strange Files.
That one was impossible to solve. How did you do it?
It is not impossible. Professor Hugo Strange. For the sake of the sequel, no spoilers for you guys, but even though we are going to read all of the character bios in a little bit, let's just check that one out now, shall we? Because that riddle is quite important. First gaining fame as a psychiatrist who declared that he'd fully analyzed The Dark Knight from afar, Professor Hugo Strange lent credence to his own claims by deducing Batman's true identity as Bruce Wayne. However, his interest in the Batman turned into a deranged obsession, and he's used his medical expertise to hatch a series of bizarre plots based around genetics and mind control in order to defeat the Batman and possibly take his place. Strange's fragile mental state has left him with intermittent knowledge of Batman's true identity, a fact that hangs over Bruce Wayne's head. For if Strange ever snaps completely, Batman's greatest secret might be revealed.
Asylum is the new one. My experiment is underway. Working alone, I have created my ultimate fear gas. Its potency, a revelation.
They're all over me! Please, Daddy. Don't do it!
Good one. I have pumped enough gas into the medical receptor to break 100 minds. It's not really a matter of time before. What?
Give it up. Now!
How are you still standing? How come it's not affecting you?
Who says it's not?
I knew it. What was it like? What have you seen?
Officer Cash, get this formula to the air conditioning system now.
You failed, Crane. Again. I've been working with Dr. Kellogg in creating an antidote to the toxins in your cologne. He fooled you, Crane. How does that make you feel? Threatened? Humiliated? Scared?
It was extremely cool to be able to hear Batman make an appearance to Crane in that final tape. That is my favorite tape line, obviously, because Scarecrow being my favorite Batman villain, and that was amazing. Also, you guys, I just wanted to say, I know that I've said this a lot throughout the series, but it can never be said enough. Rest in peace, Kevin Conroy, to the greatest, in my opinion, Batman voice actor, and honestly, other than Robert Pattinson, and like best Batman actor ever. He was able to, in an audio tape for a game that many people aren't gonna listen to, honestly, he was able to make that interaction vivid enough that you could envision the scene in your head and what was happening as the story progressed, and it is just one of the biggest losses that he has unfortunately passed, as it is with Arlene Sorkin.
You destroyed them all, but that's impossible.
Nope. Those were our very last Joker teeth, you guys. So on our way to this Riddler collectible over here, I just wanted to show you guys something in the Botanical Gardens. Credit to fellow DC Games YouTuber Luke Wayne 1939 for finding this, but if you look right above the Mad Dog Easter egg, over here at this bench, you can see this poison ivy plant, which is animated and has its own movements, and if you hit with a batarang like so, dissolves and makes no sound or noise or has no voice line or anything. And his current theory, which I believe him, is that he accidentally discovered a completely cut side quest from Arkham Asylum in its entirety that Rocksteady, for some reason, never had the time to finish, and I find that very, very cool that after all this time of this game being out, there can still be new secrets found. This game is 14 years old, and he only recently discovered this, and so credit to him. Way to go. Here's our chronicle.
It must have been Crane. Another one who doesn't deserve to live. Why do these people thrive on chaos? Joker, in particular, desired anarchy. And since his escape will no doubt wreak it upon my city, I feel this is the end for my diary. Joker will be recaptured. My story will be told. I am not afraid. If Arkham becomes my cell, then I will know I did my best. I will be remembered.
It's a clever way to solve getting over here to this trophy, isn't it?
I'm losing patience. You're cheating. You must be.
Let's line launch over here and grab this. Here we go, guys. We're gonna catch Eddie, and then we'll solve who Amadeus is. And buried beneath this brush is our final plate.
I am the spirit of Amadeus Arkham. Even though Amadeus...
What? You did it? You must have cheated. There is no way you could have beaten me. Well, you asked for it, Batman. My final challenge for the whole of Gotham is just seconds away. What? Sirens. The police. You cheated, Batman. You couldn't have outsmarted me. Police, open up! No. They can open the door now! Now! Down on the ground! Down on the ground! No! Tell me, how did you work out where I was? Do you hear me? I, Edward Nigma,
And there we go. That is Riddler defeated. We finally took the Narcissus down for this game. Now we have 2 more to go. And we get the trophy, Crack the Enigma. Since, you know, Edward Nashton or Edward Nigma. And I like that. So, let's listen in.
I am the spirit of Amadeus Arkham. Even though Amadeus had long since passed, his spirit lived on, surviving, moving through the walls of his asylum. When it chose me, I felt proud. I was honored to continue his work, to cleanse this city. If you are strong-willed enough to follow my tales, you are strong-minded enough to deduce my identity. Come and find me, friend. Together, we will save Gotham.
Why did the warden take off so quick? I thought you told him to stay put.
Well, Clayface just gave us a hint to who thinks that they're possessed by Amadeus. Do you remember who was last here? Warden Sharp. And now you can see he's left us our final scannable Arkham Chronicle.
My name is Quincy Sharp, the spirit of Amadeus Arkham. You have done well to decipher my story, and I pray it has helped you on your path. I trust that through my writings you will do what is right. Please, I implore you, continue my work. This city deserves a savior. Continue my work.
And that is also set up for a storyline that will be followed throughout the trilogy. And with that, you guys, we are done with our activities on the island, as you can see.
If you were hiding in the shadows like a little girl, this could be over much faster.
That's actually quite a funny line. There you go, you guys. We have 100% night, which is 100% completion. Now let's read our character bios fast. When his parents were gunned down in front of him, young Bruce Wayne resolved to rid Gotham City of the criminal element that took their lives. He trained extensively to achieve mental and physical perfection, in addition to mastering martial arts, detective techniques, and criminal psychology. Dressing as a bat to prey on criminals' fears, Batman fights crime with the aid of specialized gadgets and vehicles, operating out of a secret Batcave below Wayne Manor. Born into the wealthy Wayne family, Bruce Wayne had an idyllic childhood, although he was given a strong sense of justice by his moralistic and philanthropic parents, Thomas and Martha. After their violent murder at the hands of a mugger, Bruce dedicated his life to battling the criminal element that took their lives. He left Gotham for many years to train his mental and physical abilities across the globe, finally returning to take up the mantle of the Dark Knight. Thomas Wayne was a gifted surgeon and heir to the Wayne fortune, dedicated to philanthropy as much as medicine. He and his wife Martha were well known and respected in Gotham. Martha Wayne shared her husband Thomas's charitable nature and was dedicated to her son Bruce's upbringing. She was well regarded in Gotham City's social circles and helped host lavish charity balls at Wayne Manor. Their tragic murder at the hands of a desperate burglar, Joe Chill, in Gotham's crime alley shook the city to its core and led to years of urban blight. It also inspired their son Bruce to eventually become the Batman. An insanely homicidal supervillain, the Joker's white skin, green hair, and blood-red lips belly the chaotic nature underlying his cartoonish appearance. The self-styled clown Prince of Crime has no superpowers beyond a capacity for incredible violence and a skill at creating deadly mayhem. He frequently concocts elaborate schemes to entrap his arch-nemesis Batman. The daughter of Gotham City's police commissioner James W. Gordon, Barbara Gordon was forbidden by her overprotective father from joining the GCPD. Instead, she took on the identity of Batgirl and was a crime-fighting partner of Batman for years. But that all ended when the Joker shot her through the spine. Paralyzed from the waist down and confined to a wheelchair, Barbara adopted the new identity of Oracle and now aids the Dark Knight with her computer expertise, providing Batman with a constant stream of information in the field to aid his battle against crime. Alfred Pennyworth. after a varied career, was employed as the Wayne's family butler when Bruce Wayne's parents were killed. Alfred raised the young orphan and reluctantly aided him in his quest to become the Batman. His many skills, ranging from cooking to medicine, make him Batman's staunchest ally, along with a formal demeanor that grounds the Dark Knight and deflects those who might otherwise suspect Bruce Wayne's true identity. Shame he's not in this game. Quincy Sharp has been running Arkham Asylum for the past 3 years and has dedicated his life to restoring the sanity of the so-called supervillains that plague Gotham City. He is currently campaigning to become the next mayor of Gotham. To facilitate this campaign, he has instigated stringent new security and experimental research policies at Arkham. Police Commissioner James W. Gordon dedicated his career to cleaning up the corruption in Gotham City Police Department, a goal he has come a long way towards accomplishing. He has been equally tough on crime, and in the pursuit of making Gotham City safe for all its citizens, Gordon has forged an uneasy alliance with Gotham's other top crime fighter, the mysterious vigilante known as Batman. One of the most senior and respected guards at Arkham Cash is only afraid of one inmate, Killer Croc, who severely wounded Cash once during a riot at the asylum. Cash remains determined, however, to keep the asylum's inmates under control and to conquer his fears of Croc. Frank has been working at Arkham for 8 years. He has twice been suspended for drinking on the job and regularly holds poker evenings in the guard's room. Frank is desperate to be top dog at Arkham. He fails to recognize that he is considered untrustworthy and generally disliked. Dr. Penelope Young was always a brilliant student who was prepared to do anything to advance professionally. She has built up a reputation for being a cold, calculating woman focused only on the project at hand. She was hired at Arkham Asylum by Warden Quincy Sharp to head up the asylum's research department, and to finally restore the sanity to the more deranged of Gotham City's supervillains. A true sociopath, Zsasz grew up in a life of ease, but nonetheless became a serial killer. Indiscriminate in his prey, body count is the only thing that matters to Zsasz. He takes pleasure in arranging the corpses of his victims in lifelike poses before carving a mark for each of his victims into his own body. He is saving a special spot for the Batman. Born with a rare mutation that made his skin green and scaly and grew his body to grotesque proportions, Waylon Jones was raised by an alcoholic aunt and bullied relentlessly for his appearance. He briefly worked as a carnival freak under the name Killer Croc, but his misanthropy grew, as did his bestial nature, pushing him to a life of crime. As his physical condition and mental state deteriorate, Killer Croc becomes a more bestial foe, increasingly detached from humanity. With an obsessive-compulsive need for attention, Edward Nygma is determined to be the most outlandish of Gotham City's criminals. Concocting an elaborate series of clues and riddles around his crimes, Batman has proven a worthy opponent, capable of deducing the Riddler's plans. But Nygma is dedicated to creating a mystery for the Dark Knight that he will not be able to solve in time. Botanist Pamela Aisley was transformed by a science experiment gone wrong into a plant-human hybrid. With chlorophyll flowing through her veins instead of blood, she developed a toxic touch and a pheromone-fueled talent for seduction. Her crimes have become more ecologically focused as she has increasingly abandoned her human side, identifying more with the natural world. Her unique brand of eco-terrorism often pushes her into conflict with Batman, whose iron will usually protects him from her seductive powers. Victor Fries was a brilliant cryogenist whose beloved wife Nora was stricken with a fatal degenerative disease. He placed her in suspended animation while obsessively searching for a way to cure her, but the corporation that funded his research and Nora's life pulled the plug, triggering an accident that transformed Freeze's body into a cold-blooded form that must always be kept below zero. At normal room temperature, he will die. Wielding a number of freezing weapons, he wears protective armor in his quest to somehow bring back his lovely wife and avenge her fate, which he partly holds the Batman responsible for. An orphan who learned to survive on Gotham City streets, Selena Kyle took to thievery to survive. But determined to do it in style, she learned martial arts and trained extensively to perfect her skills at cat burglary. Her criminal activities are often tempered by reluctant altruism, making her an inconsistent villain and occasional hero. She regularly eludes capture by the Dark Knight and maintains a complicated adversarial relationship with Batman that frequently turns flirtatious and occasionally legitimately romantic. An Arkham Asylum psychiatrist assigned to treat the Joker, Dr. Harlan Quinzel instead became obsessively fixated on her patient, believing herself to be in love with him. She helped him escape confinement and took on her own criminal identity as Harley Quinn. Quinn is a violent and unpredictable felon whose only motivation beyond general mayhem is achieving the Joker's approval. Because of his cruel and mercurial nature, this in some ways makes her just another of his victims, albeit a very dangerous one. The Penguin, one of Batman's oldest foes, is an eccentric criminal mastermind, known as much for his love of ornithology and trick umbrellas as for his shady business dealings. Gotham's popular Iceberg Lounge serves as Cobblepot's front for a number of illegal financial activities that fund much of the city's underworld. Despite his short stature, the Penguin is a wily foe whose umbrellas conceal a variety of deadly weapons and gadgets. Imprisoned from birth to serve his dead father's sentence, Bane was raised inside the horrific environs of a Santa Prisca prison. His only friend in the hellhole was a teddy bear he named Osito. Finding solace in smuggled books and meditation, he developed incredible powers of concentration. When he was subjected to military experimentation using a steroid codenamed Venom, his iron-forged will helped him survive with other test subjects. His iron-forged will helped him survive when other test subjects had died, and he managed to escape. Determined to prove his worth, he sought out Batman and broke the Dark Knight's spine, but Batman recovered and managed to best Bane, cutting off the precious venom supply that transforms Bane into a superhuman. Taunted and buoyed as a youth, Jonathan Crane vowed to overcome his fears through the study of psychology and biochemistry. Kicked out of his university for experimenting on human subjects, Crane then adopted the identity of the Scarecrow and armed himself with a specialized fear-inducing gas that makes a person's deepest phobias become frighteningly real. His ongoing criminal reign of terror makes him one of Batman's most psychologically dangerous foes. Gotham's Blackgate Penitentiary once had a gallows tree from which 313 criminals with death sentences were hanged. The wood from that tree was whittled by an inmate into the puppet Scarface, and that inmate was murdered by Arnold Wesker, a man who soon fell under Scarface's influence. While most believe that Scarface is simply a tool through which Wesker, as the criminal mastermind the ventriloquist, acts out a dark side to his personality, Wesker himself believes that Scarface is possessed by the souls who died beneath the gallows tree, and the puppet actually motivates him to commit the duo's many crimes. Jack Ryder is an investigative reporter turned controversial talk show host. Well known for his aggressive manner and his determination to get to the truth, what his viewers don't realize is that he's also the Creeper, a garishly colored vigilante who Ryder can, with effort, turn into at will. Although at that point the Creeper's manic personality takes over. The Creeper is usually on the side of good, and just barely on the side of sanity. District Attorney Harvey Dent was one of Batman's strongest allies in Gotham City, until a criminal threw acid in Dent's face, hideously scarring him. The wounds fractured his psyche, and he was reborn as a schizoid criminal mastermind obsessed with duality. His former good luck charm, a two-headed trick silver dollar, was damaged on one side in the attack, and Dent has seized on it as a reflection of his half-scarred visage. He flips it to decide the fates of his victims. Despite Batman's efforts to reform his former ally, Dent is consumed by his fixation on chance, and his crimes are designed to prove out his diametric philosophy. A dark reflection of Batman, Prometheus was raised by criminals who were gunned down by policemen right in front of him. Dedicating his life to destroying the law, Prometheus shoveled the world and trained in the ways of murder. Clad in an armored suit that maximizes his natural skills, he's a master assassin whose physical and mental abilities rivals Batman's own. A deranged gang leader, Mexi Zeus, came to believe himself an avatar of the Olympian god Zeus. Creating a cult of gang members to do his bidding, Zeus became a power player. Creating a cult of gang members to do his bidding, Zeus became a power player in the Gotham City underworld. His criminal activities are perpetrated by his army of followers and, he believes, overseen by the Greek gods themselves. Tommy Elliot and Bruce Wayne were childhood friends and, unknown to Bruce, dark reflections of each other. A childhood sociopath, Elliot tried to kill his parents so he could inherit their fortune. When his plan failed, partly due to the surgical skills of Thomas Wayne, Bruce's father, Elliot blamed Bruce. An incredibly skilled surgeon as an adult, Elliot planned an elaborate revenge scheme on the Batman. He disguised himself as the villain Hush, his face covered in bandages, but he was in the end defeated and unmasked by the Dark Knight. Hush still plots revenge against Batman, generating complicated schemes with surgical precision. A crooked financier who stole millions of dollars, Warren White, thought he'd scored a legal victory when his insanity plea went through, but when he got to Arkham Asylum he realized his mistake. Driven insane by the other inmates, he was also disfigured by an encounter with Mr. Freeze that left him without hair, a nose, ear, or lips. Calling himself the Great White Shark, he filed his teeth into fangs to more perfectly resemble his new namesake. Putting his financial skills to use, he has become a major player in Gotham's underground crime scene, running a number of rackets from his cell in Arkham. Little is known of the early years of the nearly immortal Ra's al Ghul. Little is known of the early years of the nearly immortal Ra's al Ghul, whose name means the demon's head, but it is known that he lived for many centuries due to the Lazarus Pit, mystical and alchemical brews that restore his youth. A brilliant master of strategy and organization, Ra's al Ghul's goal is to save the Earth from ecological devastation by destroying most of its population. He recognizes Batman as both a worthy foe and a possible ally, except that Batman cannot accept his dystopic worldview. Batman also shares a love-hate relationship with Ra's daughter, the beautiful Talia. Obsessed from a young age with Lewis Carroll's book Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, Jervis Tetch, an expert hypnotist, embraced a delusion that he was the incarnation of a character in the story, the Mad Hatter. Using his skills for mesmerism, the Mad Hatter has committed many crimes, often themed around the book that inspired him and his love of hats and headgear, going so far as to implant his hats with mind-control chips to amplify his hypnosis skills. Above all other headwear, however, he covets Batman's distinctive cowl and will stop at nothing to acquire it. Arnold Wesker was a timid orphan whose deep repression erupted in a barroom brawl, resulting in him being sent to Blackgate Prison. There he encountered the puppet Scarface and promptly murdered the man who'd carved the puppet. The two are now inseparable, with Scarface directing a series of criminal activities, while most believe that Wesker is simply acting out a second personality through the puppet. Wesker sees himself as a reluctant lackey who merely does his puppet's bidding. Drury Walker was a minor criminal who adopted the identity of Carmen Van Clear, a master criminal who in turn masqueraded as the costumed supervillain Killer Moth. He is a hired gun for Gotham's gangsters, but his ingenious weaponry, including his cocoon gun, does not protect him from regular defeat at the hands of the Batman. Initially an actor in horror films, Carlo went mad when he learned a classic film of his was to be remade with a different actor in the lead role. He took on the mask of the film's villain Clayface and killed several of the remake's cast and crew before being stopped by Batman and Robin. Later, Carlo joined the Mud Pack, an alliance of shape-changing mutated villains who had subsequently used the name Clayface. While that group was defeated, Carlo tricked his allies and injected himself with the essence of several of them, becoming a superhuman imbued with the abilities to change shape, melt others into protoplasm with a touch, and mimic the powers of heroes or villains he copies. An obese, bald man nicknamed Humpty Dumpty for his egg-like form, Humphrey Dumpler is obsessed with taking things apart and putting them back together. His crimes at first were minor break-ins, leading to small mechanical items no longer functioning due to Dumpler's inability to adequately reassemble them after taking them apart. But soon his obsession grew to the point that major disasters occurred in Gotham, and Dumpler's crimes also extended to a gruesome attempt to fix his abusive grandmother by dismembering her and then attempting a Frankenstein-like reassembly at Arkham. He is a model inmate, his quiet nature and imposing physique inuring him to the madness surrounding him. Cousins with an uncanny resemblance to each other, Deaver and Dumfries Tweed both shared criminal leanings with a fixation on Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland. Teaming up, they've modeled themselves after Tweedledee and Tweedledum from the book, planning often outrageous, absurdist schemes to trap the Batman. A pyromaniac, Garfield Lynns began as a petty criminal but soon graduated to major crimes centering around arson, torching huge parts of Gotham in the process. But his fires soon raged out of his control, leaving him horribly scarred by one of his own blazes. His body is almost fully covered with burns, and he now wears a full-body flame-retardant suit when he's out pursuing his criminal interests between bouts of incarceration in Blackgate. Once employed as an actual rat catcher in Gotham, Otis Flanagan soon started using his natural gift, an affinity with and ability to control rats, to stage a variety of crimes. Eventually, his control over the vermin grew until he threatened Gotham City with a veritable army of rodents. Eventually, his control over the vermin grew until he threatened Gotham City with a veritable army of rodents. Incarcerated many times at Blackgate, he's able to do as much damage within prison as without, using his loyal pets to relay messages and transport materials inside the maze of ventilation ducts that wind through the giant prison. Following the suspicious death of his multi-millionaire parents in a fire, Roman Sionis inherited their fortune and then went on to bankrupt their company. Saved by a buyout by Bruce Wayne, Sionis came to resent and hate Wayne. Fixated on the concept of masks, Sionis carved one from his father's black coffin and sought revenge. His ensuing battle with the Dark Knight caused his mask to be burnt into his skin, remaking him as the Black Mask. Sionis is now a feared gang leader and one of the most powerful mob bosses in Gotham, with a burning hatred of the Batman. Fixated on the calendar, Julian Day became Calendar Man, a villain who tied his crimes thematically to certain holidays throughout the year, often leaving clues by which he could be caught. Gotham City's hopes for a day off are often clouded by the knowledge that any holiday of note is likely to be shadowed by Calendar Man's presence. Amadeus Arkham founded the Elizabeth Arkham Asylum for the criminally insane, naming it after his mother, whom he euthanized as treatment for her dementia. Building it on the old grounds of a family's historic mansion on the outskirts of Gotham, Amadeus personally treated its first patient, Martin Mad Dog Hawkins, who had killed Amadeus's wife and daughter. After administering fatal electroshock treatments to Hawkins, Amadeus lost all grip on his sanity and was admitted to his own institution. The writings have revealed a story that cannot possibly belong to just Amadeus Arkham. The story has weaved through time and ended on an individual who must still be alive and working here on Arkham Island. I need to figure out who it is and confront them before they can do any more harm. And with that is all our character bios done. Now sit back and just enjoy the character trophies, you guys. I will be silent for this. If you want to skip to the outro, here's the time. I know I said I'd be silent, but we actually don't ever get to see Commissioner Gordon in that fancy fedora that he's got there. Shame. Cannot wait for you guys to join me in our playthrough of Batman Arkham City. Thank you so much all for watching. It means the world to me that you guys even check out any one of my videos, but especially this series. Please be sure to check out the link in the description to check out my Shopify store that has photographs that I take on there and sell so that you can get printed in specialized forms. And thank you for joining me on a very special playthrough that I hold very near to my heart. And I will see you all in Arkham City. Love you all, and good night.